Well, welcome, Hasna. We are just so honored to have you here today. I wonder if you could just share with our viewers who you are and what you do. Gonna summarize that for us. That would be great.
Thanks. Thank you everyone for having me. This is Hasna Al-Mutawwa. I am an entrepreneur from the UAE. I am keen in making the world a better place, doing some good karma work and some bad ones. So I'm in telemedicine and in well-being. Uh, that's it. I'm a global citizen. I consider myself a global citizen. I am from the UAE, based in Abu Dhabi, married with 3 kids, and I have 2 other babies, which is my 2 projects. So yeah, this is me.
What are your two projects? Tell us about those.
So I do telemedicine, basically teleconsultation as a gatekeeping service for health insurance companies. And uh, I'd say I'm the only company who's trying to integrate well care with healthcare. I know that there is ignorance when it comes to holistic medicine and uh, the scientific part of it and the integration between the two. So when we talk about medicine, we just talk about drugs. We talk about a very well-known procedure. But what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to embed the lifestyle management tools with the telemedicine to make the whole ecosystem.
So a more holistic approach to medicine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So are you a medical doctor?
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
So you are trained in what?
So my background is health information management. I worked
Okay.
in everywhere. We have a saying in Arabic like the universal employee. So I worked in everywhere. I worked in marketing. I worked in oil and gas. I worked in health and safety. So this is what makes me an entrepreneur. So
Ah,
so I
okay.
worked in different fields. Then I realized that I want to do something different. I started with the online doctors patients appointments, and then studying the market, working on that, I discovered that there are many areas that needs to be improved, and there is gap in that market, especially the integration between holistic and Western medicine, because they are totally two separate things, and no
Hmm.
one is trying to build a bridge between both.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's thank you for doing what you do because that is very vital. I deeply appreciate the medical professionals here in Canada and around the world, but I also really greatly appreciate Eastern medicine. Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, the First Nations roots and herbs and whatever, whatever it takes to heal.
Yeah.
And I've done it with my family. I've treated my family with acupressure and essential oils and flower essences, and they get the works. When they got sick, my husband even knows now. Like I'm the first person. What do you have that can help me here?
Well, my friends always stereotype me as the old fashioned lady because when I get sick, I refuse to take medicine. I will go straight to ginger and honey and all these natural remedies.
Yes. Well, yeah. I think that's far better if especially if our bodies are sensitive. To use the natural foods for healing.
Yeah.
So
Naturopathy is naturopathy, and when you follow your strict and good diet like vegan food or other things, so I think we understand and we nurture our body. We understand what we require, and we very rare chances we feel sick.
yeah,
Otherwise, we always feel healthy. I think. What
yeah,
is your opinion?
My opinion.
yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a different opinion. Yeah, I am with you.
Yeah.
Not 100%. So basically, let's heat up the debate a little bit. So I like the idea of listening to your body. I like the idea of knowing what's like, but sometimes you see people ignoring huge health issues, trying to be their own doctors. So what I'd recommend personally, I'd recommend that you listen to your body, you do those natural remedies, but with a examination supervision, or a checkup from time to time, because you don't want to be the one who's staying in that bubble feeling that I'm not sick, I don't have these issues, and you stay alone relying on your own remedies. But I am with you on listening to your body. So even when we go to vegan or the green style, uh, there are people who's taking it extremely. We are not robots. So when you do some lifestyle, or when you want to change your way of looking at things and believing in medicine in general, health is a broad word. So it is it's very challenging to follow a strict style. You need to give yourself a break and to say, okay, this works for me, this is not. Maybe I know that people come with the new trends every time, uh, a keto diet or whatever, or being a vegetarian, being a vegan without understanding the moral behind it. So I'd always go to the fact that listen to your body, know what you want exactly, and then it's going to be a lifestyle. It's not something that you need to follow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally, I always believe like having a certain balance. I personally don't like to take like one extreme, and I believe like preventative care is very important. So I do believe there is a place for the medical field, and there is, we're very fortunate to have the kind of sophistication that we do when it comes to medical and doctors and solutions. But then there's the other side, like, you said, and Raja Betska said, that I also feel like when we start balancing all of these, we have a healthy lifestyle. We know what feels good with our bodies, what maybe not doesn't feel so good, and perhaps stop that, maybe cut back on certain things, intakes that whatever that might be
Yeah.
from food or drinking, that we feel like is not to our own highest best. Then that is a very that's an approach that I personally like to take. And that doesn't mean that it's always perfect. Sometimes, I might be eating or drinking something that is not the greatest, but it's not on a ongoing everyday kind of basis. And I think if at least we could get to that point, at least for me, I know I feel a lot better having that as part of my lifestyle, like you said.
So, Hasna, we know that clearly you are a leader in your field, and we would love to have a discussion with you around leadership. And for example, here in our podcast, our Women's Empowerment podcast, our vision is to create more noble, elevated, and conscious leaders through female empowerment, right? So that the more we empower women, the more we can have men and women working together for more conscious, elevated leadership. So, to produce these types of leaders, what do you think needs to change in the world? Let's look at the situation globally, and then we'll take it to the Gulf where you are right now. But what needs to change in order for this type of leadership to come to fruition?
Um, I think first of all, we need to change something inside us. We need to start thinking about us as female differently. We're not
Mm,
here in a race with men.
mm,
So proving yourself doesn't mean that you have to pick someone from the opposite gender and try to compete. Proving yourself is beyond that. So as women, I think we have the power to reach there, even jump higher, not climbing a conventional ladder to go there, because I'm not talking about the new wave of women empowerment. I'm talking about us as a creature. We have the skills to do it. We are emotionally intelligent. We care about stuff. We have this competitive spirit. You see women everywhere. When they want to do something, it has to be done. You know, I see, and I see the role model is my mother, because she's always been a leader. My dad doesn't have a say at home, so she's like, a conventional Arab, and this is something people. I think this is a misconception from other regions. They think that Arab women are like, followers. Uh, Believe me, it's not. It's the way opposite. because their life were very difficult. They used to live in the desert. Men used to go like for months to find water or whatever. So they used to take care of the house. They used to greet the guests. They used to sit with them. They used to have political discussions with them. And it's all, I never seen any Emirati family that has much of a say from the men's side. It's always goes back to the women to say yes or no. The final say is with us. So uh,
Mhm.
actually, I grew up in an environment that we are naturally empowered one way or
Oh,
another, you know.
right.
So yeah, so I think this goes back to like going back to your what is the global formula for that. I think it goes back to the individual, why you are doing this, why you need to be empowered, why you demand others to empower you. What is your agenda here? And don't tell me I don't have an agenda. I'm coming here. I'm trying to do. No, everyone has a vision. Everyone comes with a message, right? So going back to that, and I think the most successful figures around the globe is the one who's competing with their best version. It's not an
Uh-huh.
opposite gender, it's not someone else,
Mm.
it's what you want to achieve, it's what you're
Mhm,
trying
mhm.
to leave behind as a legacy. So I think this should answer your question.
Hasna, actually, I have a follow-up question into that, and I love how you said it starts within ourselves, right? Like every change we want to achieve in life, it has to come from within. It's not something that's found externally, even though so often we are looking for external things to change and not changing ourselves. But when we're talking about corporations and I happen to do a lot of business management and leadership development in organizations and corporations. And the reality still is that some industries more than others, it's still very male dominated in the executive levels. And so while I've come across amazing female leaders that have huge potential, that are motivated, they could add so much to the companies and what they're doing. Yet we're still not necessarily always at the part where they can truly share what they have to offer to the world. So I'd love to hear your point of view, how we could change that, or like to Betska's question, change in leadership style, so we could address some of these inequalities that are still happening in the corporate world. What would be your recommendation or suggestion how to go about that?
I think I mentioned that I worked in oil and gas, so it's a man dominated sector, and
Mhm.
it's a very tough one. So based on my experience in this sector, for example, um, what before we think about what we need to do to change that, it is it goes back to the fact that I'm coming back, I'm repeating myself, it's within. Do you have the courage to fight now? Are you going to add value here as an individual? uh, I think culture need to be changed, especially in the Middle East, because there are jobs or professions or areas that is man dominated. It's not culturally acceptable that you are going to work there or do something there. So the challenge that comes from the environment around you is huge. The cultural barriers is huge. So you don't want a leader to focus on changing the current fact than trying to develop something or trying to achieve something. I think the culture need to change, especially in the Middle East. There are many jobs that fell into the man dominated sector or whatever, and it is not something that woman will feel empowered when she is going to do, because of the culture, you know. uh, we are human, we always seek acceptance from the people around us. So when you find that rejection always coming from a certain job or a style or whatever, you will keep or you will be hesitated to jump into that area, which will slow your development down big time, and will keep you competing with rejections you're facing, than competing with whatever the other people who's working on that or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with you, which, sharing a quick story here with you. I had a similar experience when I first worked in the construction sector, and I was the only female as part of that executive team. And I remember very fondly that I had one or two mentors that really helped me bring that out in me, that I knew was there, like speaking of what's within, but I felt so hesitant to bring that out because I was raised in a culture where you wouldn't necessarily disagree with a senior, especially not if it is a male. So that really held back my opinions. But in my case, my experience has been to find mentors that help bring that out of you. And I wonder, like when we're looking at beyond what the current situation is, of how can we as female leaders help the next generation or other female leaders to change that situation and truly bring out what's within them, because sometimes we see it with them and they might not yet, right? Because they are not feeling confident yet. And so that's something that I've noticed and I'm very passionate about, as I know, you are too, that we are providing that kind of guidance to other female leaders so we can truly create a change. But do you have any other learnings or suggestions that you found are very effective in changing what you just described?
I think, as I mentioned, the culture thing is a big gap here. I think we need to work together. So when you see globally,
Yeah.
there are many men-dominated committees here and there, but when it comes to women, it's I know that there is a wave now about women empowerment, but everyone is working alone. So there are people in the West working alone, there are people in the Middle East working alone. There is no a proper global committee that it's not managed by a government or
Yeah.
a geographic location that take cares of women. And when we say women as leaders or whatever their job level is, but we are looking for committees that is addressing this thing subjectively, not just because of it's a part of a big structure, a government or whatever. I think this is something that the universe is very much in need of.
Yeah. I love that you're saying that, Hasna, because I believe in that empowerment 2.0, because at this point we do have, even though we're still oftentimes in a minority, especially male-oriented industries, but we do have more female powerful leaders. And I believe that role model and that mentorship and having some of these female leaders that truly have made it and that have created something amazing, that we need to come together more. We have to be that mentor, that role model, that helping hand, that support, where we collaborate more among each other, strong women, but also bringing men into the boat, because there are many men and we have one of the best ones here, Raj. Here we are, this women empowerment podcast, and here's Raj.
You're the best.
Yay, Raj!
Amazing.
Because I have a huge respect and huge, respect and other things, because my sister is very good leader. My mom was very good leader. My first job trainee was my very great boss. So I know, and wherever I am today, just because of these women support.
Ah,
Yeah.
They
wonderful.
guide
The
me.
mentoring, Marion.
That's
They guide me
amazing.
nicely.
That's
They motivate
amazing.
me nicely.
Now, you
And
know what,
Go
Marion
ahead.
and Hasna, the thought occurred to me. I believe Marion's question also, well, it's guiding me to respond, in that is that here in Canada, for example, last week there was a show on television. I think there are even television ads, but they're showing these a job like on the shoreline working with ships, you know, where you've got these huge cranes and you have to move all these big containers onto ships and so on. And they were talking about women in that field. So these women had all their, you know, proper reflective gear on and the big helmets, and they were talking about how much they love their job, right?
Yes.
Wow. And so, I mean, just running that that television show and running ads like that, that's going to encourage more women to go. Women can do that. Anybody can operate a crane. It's not like they have to lift that whole container on by themselves. So I think more creative work like that, right, Marion?
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's so funny that you say that, because as you know, I just returned from my Germany trip, and I opened the newspaper, and in the newspaper are some job descriptions, and one ad was an assistant role, and it showed a picture of a woman, right? A very good-looking female young woman. And then on the other side was an advisor, like a financial advisor position, and it showed a picture of a man. And so here I am, right back into this culture that I was born into. And of course, I said to my family, I'm like, what is this? Is this still really happening? And, you know, it might have been just a coincidence, who knows? But it really threw me off there for a second. It's like, why does this assistant have to be a female? I've had assistants that were male, and some of them, they were amazing.
Yeah.
I have yet to find a male assistant in Germany, but you know, it was just so interesting, and it really had me like, I guess I'm not embedded in the culture as much anymore, that it actually really stands out. And then on the other hand, Betska, of what you said, I met with a really dear friend of mine, and she is on, like, she has a very male type job where she's, you know, climbing, and she's actually not in a crane, but she's on a rope going up to fix roofs and things of that nature, which I thought is so amazing, right? We talk about, you know, that industry where she is surrounded by men. So it's, you know, it's just, and she's also in Germany. So you see, there are both sides to this.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It's still stereotype thinking people's there and everywhere. They still mention we are looking for a smart, good-looking girl. Why you are mentioned smart? You mention we looking for talented, presentable, male or female, anything. Not smart, good-looking. Why?
Yeah.
I don't understand people mentality.
Yeah. It was so intriguing to see that.
Yeah, no kidding. So